Well, hey everybody, this is Baileywiki. Thanks for joining me today. This is an interesting episode, I think, for you guys, especially those of you that are dipping into 3D now in Foundry, because I'm joined by mz4250, also known as Miguel. Hey, Miguel.
Hello, hello.
Hey, yeah, thanks for joining me today. Um, for those of you who don't know, Miguel produces a prolific amount of 3D models. And we're going to get into a little bit of his backstory and his body of work. But something in the last couple of months that happened is that Ripper, that many of you know in the Foundry community, was able to make a module, a Foundry module, just wrapped around the free models that Miguel publishes. So yeah, you guys can actually get a ton. It's like thousands of free 3D models from Miguel's website. I'll show you here in a second. He does have a Patreon that you can support as well, which I'll use that as a little bit of a backdrop too. But I'm a supporter of yours, and I am just constantly astounded. This is just in the last couple of days, the stuff that you've produced, but I'm constantly astounded the rate at which you produce things and how all or and you can describe it for us, but all or much of it is free to the community. So really appreciate that.
Yeah, sure. Thanks for having me on today. And yeah, all 4,250 of my models that I've made over these past 8 years are all free. For two major reasons. One, because, well, duh, I don't want to get sued. Uh, and because yeah, the fan policy for D&D is like, everything's got to be free and have certain text on the post, and then we can take it down whenever we want, and that's kind of it. So I've been at this for 8 years now, just making D&D minis that are ready for 3D printing. It started with 3D printing, but now people are obviously using it for other 3D aspects, like what you guys got going on. And yeah, I love making 3D art. I have enough patrons to get by and pay the bills, and it's been a pretty good time.
Well, it's pretty awesome. Like as we the Foundry community are venturing into 3D, a major part of that is the tokens. And to be able to create, this is a scene that I create and publish. Um, and I said, it would be great as a big ancient dragon perched at the top. And this is actually one of your models.
Yeah, it's a silver dragon. That guy, I see him. Very
Yeah.
nice. What a
And
handsome fella.
it really is. I mean, gosh, and the light flickering off it, it's great. And the fact that we can do 3D now is pretty awesome. For those of you who don't know, once you have the 3D module installed, and then you install the special Canvas 3D token compendium, which is Miguel's stuff, then you can navigate into this 3D tab and pop that open, and you can see other options that you've got. So like here's, I think, I don't know if that one's gonna work, but let's go find one of these guys. Young Silver Dragon.
Oh yeah, you just go all the way out to Monster Manual. That's like a big chunk of the collection right there. Yeah.
Yeah, and I can give it a material, I can give it a color, and oh, it looks like it might be the same one. But let me show you, let me navigate to another scene here. So I want to go through some of these while we get some of your story. This scene is another scene that I made just for kind of random encounters. It's a creek that doubles as a road. You can get rid of all these things and you can basically make a road out of it in the woods. And I thought, let's sit by a nice little creek and let's talk about some of these tokens here.
Nice.
Now, one of the things that I really like is there's also a Hero Forge integration. I don't know if you've ever used that site, but you can make 3D models of your characters there, right? And they're like really highly detailed and painted and the whole thing. And that's great. Characters love when they can, design their own characters and bring them into the game, but then what are they going to fight, right? And we've been using kind of stand-up paper models and things like that, but with what you bring to the table, all of a sudden you can have like real things and really high quality stuff that's also pretty performant too. So I thought maybe give me a little bit of your background before we jump into some of these. Like, how long have you been doing this? Why did you get into it? And I think you're largely in like the 3D printing world, right? Is where most of your action has
Hmm.
been.
Yeah, yeah. So it started about, oh gosh, almost 8 years ago now. And what happened was actually it's kind of a cute story. So I was working in DC because I had a pretty standard government career going on following various military deployments and continuing my reserve component service. And my wife, well, my girlfriend at the time, now my wife, she told me, "Hey, Miguel, there's this thing called 3D printing. You can 3D print miniatures for our D&D games. What do you think about that?" And initially I was like, "No, art is dead to me. I couldn't possibly go back into art." Because prior to just working regular quiet government jobs, I did go get a art degree, and it was a focus on 3D modeling.
Huh.
And I tried getting a career in art. I tried doing all that, but it just didn't really work out for me because all the jobs were in California and I wasn't ready to move out there. So I just used my military service, 21 years, Army, retired a major. Woo. Anyway,
Yeah, nice. Thanks for your
uh,
service.
thank you. Yeah, I retired about almost a year and a half ago now. But anyway, so yeah, so I just used my military service to get regular government jobs, and but art was still a part of me. I still knew how to draw and how to 3D model, and the idea of getting back into art, even as a hobby, a little part of me was just like, no, it's dead.
It's
But
funny. I have a similar story. I was an artist growing up. I was a twin, and I was the art of the two of us, and the artist of the two of us. And then I kind of left it behind as I went into the business world. And it wasn't until COVID hit, and I started playing a game with my boys because I needed something to do. I needed them to have something to do that wasn't just staring at screens all day. And so that kind of rekindled the artist in me, and
yeah,
similar story.
yeah. So in my case, she kind of dragged me by my ear into the library to show me 3D printing. And after I sat down for a course on how it works and how to make even the most basic 3D models on Tinkercad, I was just like, "Oh wow, this is really great. I could actually probably do this as a hobby. I'm glad I thought of it." And no, I'm kidding. Uh, no, it's all
Behind every great man, right?
exact. No, it's very, very true. So I made a little black dragon with just some spheres and ovals on Tinkercad, and I posted it on Reddit after it was 3D printed. And Reddit absolutely loved it. And I was like, well, if I made a black dragon, I might as well make a blue dragon. And then Reddit loved it. And then I was like, well, I'm already here. I might as well do the entire monster manual.
Wow.
So I did that. I learned or relearned 3D modeling. However, this time instead of using Maya, which was what I was trained on when I was in college, I learned how to use Blender because Blender is free
Right.
and it's pretty effective for what you need, especially for basic 3D modeling. And yeah, I just made the entire monster manual for 3D printing for free, and that's how it kind of all started. And initially, Wizards of the Coast, when they found out about this, they took down all my stuff because that's what they can do. It's fine.
Sure.
And but I reached out to them and I was just like, hey, I was making this because I just wanted people to have the creative freedom that I have, where when they just need something, they can print it. I'm not trying to make a buck off of this. I Everything is free, and I don't want to. I'm not trying to compete. I'm just trying to help fellow players. And they were pretty damn reasonable. Like they immediately, when they realized that I wasn't trying to sell things, that they were like, "Oh, okay, well, All right, well, just post it, on a different website. Make sure you keep it free, and we're good. And then that's kind of been it.
That's amazing.
And and then their fan content policy got updated pretty recently. I mean, I think it was like a couple of years ago, but the rules are still the same. I'm not gonna try to take credit for how they changed their fan content policy, but it's very friendly to what I do. And basically, it just comes down to, hey, whatever art you make, as long as it's free and you don't try to, charge people in any way to get it, go ahead and make it. But keep in mind, we can just take things down whenever we want. And that's kind of been it.
So you hear
But
that,
yeah,
everybody? Like, you never know what tomorrow holds, but for right now, you can have a basilisk in your game.
exactly. So yeah, no, it's been so yeah, that's kind of been my modus for 8 years now. About 3 years ago, I set up a Patreon, see if people actually wanted to support me as an artist, and they did. So it was so I set that up, and then yeah, I was able to just quit my regular 9 to 5, and I've been working as a 3D artist ever since, just making these things and pretty much enjoying it. It's been pretty nice.
Amazing. You must have some really amazing workflows now after 4,500 of these things. Is that what you said?
About 4,250
Oh gosh,
around there.
that's amazing. Because I've done, especially because I've been working in 3D. I've done work in Blender, and I'm still a novice at it. But you must be able to crank these things out because I mean the level of detail here is pretty astounding.
Oh, thanks. But yeah, I mean, I think I have a pretty decent workflow. Yeah. So here's the thing. When you become self-employed, I think like the myth is that as soon as you become self-employed and you just become some hippie and you just wake up at, 12 o'clock and you're just like, I guess I'll work today, or maybe I won't. And that is not true in my case at all, because I because of my military background, I still wake up at 6 in the morning.
Yeah.
I still do my PT, and then after having a nice meal, and if my wife wants to join me for some tea, and we'll have some tea. But yeah,
But
I
you've got the
really
discipline to keep pushing these things out and keep growing this library.
pre- pretty much,
That's
and
great.
yeah, so I work, put in my 8 hours, and then post everything on my Patreon, and yeah, I have a workflow and it works for me. And I have amazing lady living here with me that supports me in any way that I can, and it's been nice. So I
I
mean,
love it.
yeah, I've been
Well,
pretty good.
tell me about, or tell us about your body of work. What you said that you've got the you went and built the Monster Manual. You've got other things. A lot of it's here. This is all free. You can access it. I'll link to the GitHub. You don't even need Foundry to use it. For anyone who's wondering, it's just all the models that are in
Mhm. Yeah,
that zip file. But
basically,
yeah,
yeah. So like the way that I've made my work happen is I started with the Monster Manual, and whenever patrons or anybody on the internet asks for an adventurer, I made a separate folder for just adventurers of every size, shape, class, race, sex, and
is that
you know,
this?
this that looks like that's the
Oh, that's the NPCs.
NPC folder
Uh-huh.
in
Yeah.
yeah, in the Monster Manual. But yeah, after the Monster Manual was done, and I started filling up the adventurers folder, then I just started making
Oh, that's this
various.
one.
Yeah,
Adventures.
that's yeah, there's a whole bunch of there.
Fantastic.
But yeah, after I made that book, then I just went down the line making various other campaigns and stuff, the Tyranny of Dragons campaign, Storm King's Thunder, etc., etc. I just started making them as the books came out, and they're pumping out books faster than I can make them. So
Wow.
it
Good.
doesn't look like I'm ever going to run out of content anytime soon.
Good.
And
They're feeding your hobby. This is great. I didn't know that I could even get like the artificers companions in here. I mean, you really got a little
oh
bit of
yeah, the
everything.
little robot dudes. Yeah. Yeah, yep, those are in there. I've made, yeah, it's 4,250 models are gonna be it's gonna have a hell of a selection you can choose from there. So yeah.
Wow. I mean, this is overwhelming.
Hmm.
It's overwhelming. That's great.
There was a when initially when I started though, I made models focused on FDM printing. So FDM printing is that, the printing where it's basically like a glue gun that's pointed downward and it builds the
Sure.
thing up, up,
Yeah.
up.
Hmm.
So those printers back in the day were not very detailed. So a good chunk, like about maybe half of my models were focused for that. So some of the models are a little older looking than others.
Yeah.
But then when resin printing came around, I realized, oh, I need to actually like add real detail to these things. So the models that are from 4 years onward are obviously a little higher detail, like that guy right there in front, actually.
Yeah.
So yeah, I and I'm still evolving as the technology evolves too. Now the resin printers have like 8K levels of details. Now I have to up it up even further. So
Wow.
I'm just gonna keep on growing as the technology evolves.
So between Wizards of the Coast and printer technology, you've got a long future ahead of you.
Yeah, there is no way I will ever someday sit down and be like, gosh, what am I going to work on today? It's never going to happen because even if for some reason, I don't know, D&D suddenly disappears, I don't know, and then I there's still so many third party game makers out there and other campaigns, other things like
Yeah, like I've
I
seen Pathfinder content from you, right?
Yeah, yeah, there's some Pathfinder stuff in there. I love the Cobalt Press.
Mm.
They are also another very friendly entity out there that they're pretty cool people making art for them as long as you don't try to sell them and stuff. So Cobalt Press, they have great stuff. Pathfinder obviously have great stuff. Uh, yeah, there's just so much out there. And then of course my patrons themselves, they always request random stuff, like the Centaurtaur, obviously. So yeah, there's a a big collection of just stuff out there that I can pretty much make forever.
Well,
Oh,
that's
if you
great. What
I,
should I? Oh, go ahead.
oh, I was gonna say if you go out to like the main area, go to miscellaneous,
Uh-huh.
and then I think that the Centaurtaur should be here. So
Look
go to
at.
letter C,
All right. Let's see what we. Oh, the
and there.
Centaurtaur.
Yeah, I believe that that's actually inspired from like a cartoon, but I'm not really sure about
All
that.
right. Let's see what we're
Uh,
working with here.
yeah,
Oh my.
it because it's the bottom is a centaur and the top is another centaur. Right
Oh
on the horse.
gosh, it's
But-
it's so much meta centauring going on. I don't even know where to start. That's great. Good to know
yeah.
you got some Easter eggs in there. Any? Oh, you speaking of, do you have any favorites that you want me to bring up and zoom in on?
Nah.
You can't call any of your children your favorite, right?
Not really. I
Well,
honestly
at
can't.
least let me look at some dragons, because
Oh yeah, actually, well, okay. I'm not gonna lie. The dragons are actually like my favorite
all
for
right,
sure.
take me to the promised land here. Which one should we pick
Um,
up?
I mean, you kind of showed everybody already, but if you go to Metallic Dragons
Yeah,
and go to Silver, Silver Dragons are my favorite
yeah.
because
The
they're just,
flying one or the terrestrial?
yeah, go terrestrial.
Yeah,
Why
we
not?
already saw a flying one, so I guess I'll go
Ancient.
ancient.
Yeah.
That's got to
But
be the
yeah,
most epic, right?
Silver Dragons are always my babies. I always like Silver Dragons.
Let's see. I want to try to make this thing. Let's see if I can put it in like a steel. Then, if I'm gonna
Yeah.
do this,
But
all
yeah,
right.
I always did like Silver Dragons.
And
But
then,
yeah, yeah,
no,
there he
it's
is.
great.
Yes.
It needs to be
That's my
significantly bigger.
baby. But okay, so besides Silver Dragons, obviously, I mean, there's just so many out there that I greatly appreciate. I love me that's Rask, and I do love Mind Flayer too. I mean,
Oh
there's a lot
wow,
of options.
that's
But
amazing.
yeah, but yeah, it's all out there. It's all free. And if you guys, delve into 3D printing, then my stuff is all free and ready to go. And yeah, it's nice.
That's great. Well, Miguel, anything coming up for you that you're excited about or you want people to know about, or is it business as usual? We should just come and follow you, and some of us may say, like I do, I support you. But anything coming up that you know are talking about or promoting?
I don't know about promoting, but actually, yeah, like right now I'm working on Monsters of the Multiverse, and
Oh.
it's a big chunk of monsters that were already released, but it gives me an opportunity to update some of the files that are just a little old now, particularly the creatures that were originally in Volo's Guide to Monsters. Now, back in the day when Volo's Guide came out, I was still doing the FDM printing, so things were a little dated now.
Yeah.
But now that this book is out and I'm gonna work on that for funsies, gives me a chance to update all the old Volo's Guide creatures. So those fellas are gonna get updated, very soon enough.
Yeah, they're getting a lot of attention just because obviously everything's been updated. So that's great timing. Glad to see you're doing that.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm working on the Monsters of the Multiverse now and pretty excited about that. But other than that, now just making art every day, posting it on my Patreon and obviously free all over the world too. And that's just how I roll.
That's great. Well, Miguel, thanks for the work that you do. Thanks again for your service, and appreciate you making this available. And thanks to Ripper, who's I'm sure listening to this. If you guys are curious on how you use this module, I did a whole tutorial on 3D recently, so just check out my YouTube channel for that to understand how you get this stuff into your game. But in the meantime, I have too much stuff to have fun with now, Miguel. I don't know where I'm going to find the time.
Nice. Well, I'm sure you'll figure it out.
All right. Well, for the rest of you, he goes by mz4250. I'll link in the description of the video so that you can find Miguel and all of his work. And Miguel, thanks for making the time. Appreciate you walking us through this.
Thanks. Appreciate it. And yeah, thanks for the chat today.
Awesome. All right. We'll talk soon.
All right.